guest today on Choices and Consequences is Katrina Bernard, and we are going to be chatting about her lifelong friend who was killed by a drunken driver 3 years ago. Hello, Katrina. Thank you for joining me today. Katrina, tell us how your life changed 3 years ago.
3 years ago, on October 31st, Halloween night, my best friend, Katelyn Ann Contraros, was killed by a drunk driver. Katelyn and I were best friends our whole lives. We met in kindergarten, and we were absolutely inseparable. And then we actually got separated because we ended up going to different elementary schools. And we didn't see each other much, but we still kept in touch. And then in 6th grade, we were basically reunited again when we went to the same middle school. And from that day on, we were together pretty much every day, or at least talked on the phone every single day. We went through high school together, graduated, and then my freshman year in college, in September, a month before the accident happened, we actually traveled and we went to Vegas together. I went with her on a family trip to Vegas, and we had the time of our lives. And then we came back and just carried on the next month, talking all the time. And then one night I was just at home doing homework. It was Halloween night, and I actually signed on to MySpace. And I had a message from Katelyn's friend, Peter, and it said, "Please call me as soon as you get this message. Very important, it doesn't matter which time." So immediately my heart just dropped, and I knew something wasn't right because I didn't even know this boy, Peter. So I called him, and over the phone he said, "Are you sitting down? Are you okay right now?" I said, "Yeah, tell me what happened." And that's when he told me that Katelyn was in a car accident. He was actually with her in the car, and that she was flown to Beth Israel. Is it Beth Israel Hospital?
Yeah, Beth Israel in Boston.
Beth Israel Hospital in Boston, and that she was basically on life support, that she had hit her head so bad that she was completely out of it. And I just remember at that moment, I dropped the phone. I don't even think I ever said bye to Peter. I just dropped it, and I completely lost it. Everything just, I can barely remember it, but at the same time, I can remember so vividly how I felt. And my parents were in bed at that time, and I just ran into my parents' bedroom, and I just started screaming, trying to tell my mom, and my mom was like, it's okay, I'm sure she's okay." But I just had this gut feeling that she wasn't okay and that she wasn't going to come out of it, and that's what happened.
So tell us about the accident. Did you know any of the details at that point?
At that point, I had no idea what had happened. After I talked to my mom, one of Kate's other good friends, we came over, and we ended up just making as many phone calls as we could. By this time, it was probably about midnight, and I'll never forget, we finally decided, okay, we're going to call the hospital ourselves. And when we called the hospital, I said, "I'm not going to do that."
It's all right. Take your time.
I didn't want to be the one to talk to the nurses. And my friend picked up the phone, and she asked, and she said, "Can you tell me about Katelyn Ann Contraros and tell us her condition?" And that was when she had the phone like this, so I was right there, and I could hear everything. They said, "Sure, we'll come right back and give you the news." And she came back on the phone, and she said, "Oh, Katelyn Ann Contraros, yeah, she's dead." Flat out, just like that. And the odd thing about that whole situation is that there are HIPAA laws that you can't even release that information over the phone. This lady had no idea who she was talking to on the phone, and she just flat out, those exact words, "Yeah, she's dead." And that was how we found out. So it wasn't that we got to hear it from her parents for the first time, or a friend, someone we knew. It was from a nurse saying on the phone, "Yeah, she's dead."
How did the accident happen?
It was Halloween night, and she and 2 other friends were driving down Route 111 in Wyndham, and they were actually heading to go to Nashua, on the border of the Mexican restaurant. It was her favorite restaurant. And as she was approaching the hill, it was right about the top of the hill, the truck driver on the opposite side of the road crossed the yellow lines and struck her right in. It was a Ford F-150, and it went right into her side of the car. So the other the other passengers, the one in the front seat just suffered minor cuts and bruises, and the kid in the back seat actually broke his leg. But she was right there, and it was Ford F-150, and Chevy car, so it was about 4 times the size of her little car, and it just struck her right there.
And were you able to find out anything about the accident?
In regards to what?
What caused the accident?
He was a drunk driver. He was way over the limit. He had way too many drinks that night, so he was a drunk driver.
So tell us what happened from there on.
Well, as far as his punishment, he went to court, and then he was released on bail. And for, I think it was about 7 months, it was really scary because all of us knew that he was out and he was roaming the streets. And although his license had been taken away from him, what was going to stop him from getting behind the wheel? Just because you don't have a license, people drive every day without having a license. So that was really scary, knowing that he actually lived in, I believe it was either Wyndham or Salem, and it's only 5 minutes from my house. So just knowing that I could be driving by him and he could be drinking again, that was really scary. And then after about that 7 months, he did get convicted and he was found guilty, and they charged him, I think, 3 years in prison. And we were all very upset about that because he took a life and all he got was 3 years. So a lot of people pushed for a harsher punishment, and we ended up going to court. And I actually personally testified in front of the judge, and I had a 3-page letter that I read to the judges, and each one of us went up and said what we had to say. And it actually worked because they pushed his sentencing up. Now it's a minimum of 6 to 14 years.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we're very happy about that. I don't believe in the death penalty in regards to that, but I do want to make sure that he gets his punishment because he took away a life. And Katelyn, she's not here with us today, but he's still alive, so he should have to pay the punishment for that.
And what was his reaction?
Absolutely nothing, no facial expressions. He never once apologized to the family. He was actually in the courtroom with us, and I just remember looking at him, staring at him, thinking, how can you just be so dull in the face and show no remorse or not even go up to the family and apologize? He did absolutely nothing but be completely quiet, which I'm sure his lawyer advised him to stay quiet, but he could have at least said that he was sorry, or looked at the family, and sometimes you can just see in someone's eyes that they're sorry, but he wasn't.
And what did this do? How did this affect you and your friends?
It had a huge impact on my life. I mean, this was 4 days, she was 4 days shy of her 20th birthday, and I was 19, and at 19 to lose your best friend. At that age, you think that you and your best friend, you're going to grow old together, you're going to go to bingo together, and we had dreams of getting an apartment together. We both loved the I Love Lucy television show. It was our favorite show, and from 6th grade on, we would just get together and we watched that. While many of our other friends were out partying, Kate and I just sat and watched I Love Lucy. That was our thing. So we always argued over who was the Lucy, and I'd say, no, I'm the Lucy, no, I'm the Lucy. But afterwards, I realized that Kate was the Lucy because she just had she was just so free-spirited, and she didn't let anyone tell her what to do. She did what she wanted to do. She was a little bit feisty, and she just had that personality that afterwards I realized that, she really was the Lucy. But we never got to pursue our dreams about getting an apartment together and decorating with all I Love Lucy stuff. And, we never got to go to each other's weddings, and she never got to be the aunt of my baby girl. So it's really tough, and it makes me angry that someone took away my best friend and all these dreams that we had of growing together. So it's just unfortunate that her dad will never get to walk her down the aisle. That's what really hurts, is when I think about that not so much where I'm coming from as a best friend, but I think about her parents, and her mom's never going to have that little grandchild that she always wanted from her. Her dad, like I said, won't be able to walk her down the aisle.
And what message do you want to convey to other high school students or anyone that gets behind a car?
Well, I think it's important that it takes a lot of courage for someone to say no thank you for drinking, especially when you're under the age. You don't have to say yes. Be confident in yourself that you can just say no and it's okay, and people aren't going to pressure you. But if you do make the mistake or do make the choice to drink, it takes a lot more courage at the end of the night to call someone and say, can you please just come pick me up? Even if it's your parents. Your parents aren't going to be mad at you that you drank. I would think that your parents are going to be a lot more proud of you that you made the right decision and actually called them to have you pick them up. So just don't drink and drive. It's become too socially acceptable to go out and have a drink and get behind the wheel. And I made a vow to myself that I would never, I am of age, so I can go out and drink, but I made a promise to myself and to Kate that I'll never go out and not even just have one drink and get behind the wheel. If I'm drinking at all, I will not get behind the wheel. And many times I am the one driving my friends because of that. So I just, do it for yourself or do it for someone who you love. Make a vow to yourself that you won't drink and drive.
Very good. Thank you, Katrina, for joining me today. Hopefully, at least one of you heard the message that Katrina was giving. And if you must drink, you will think to call someone to drive you home before you get behind the wheel. Thanks for watching.
I open my eyes, I try to see, but I'm blinded by the white light. I can't remember how, I can't remember why I'm lying here tonight, and I can't stand the pain, and I can't make it go away. No, I can't stand the pain. How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes, got nowhere to run. The night goes on as I'm fading away. I'm sick of this life, I just wanna scream. How could this happen to me? Everybody's screaming, I try to make a sound, but no one hears me. I'm slipping off the edge, I'm hanging by a thread. I wanna start this over again. So I try to hold on to a time